Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today?
Good.
How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
It's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
It's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad you could be back today. Let's check out, see what we're dealing with cosmic weather. Cosmic weather is just my whole compilation term for all of the things that make up the energy we're dealing with during the day. Astrology, tarot, Mayan calendar, whatever, it's all thrown in there because it's all just energy, and we're just all looking how to understand the energy. That's it. So today's the 9th. We have a sun sign that is Libra, which is an air sign, and we have a moon sign which is Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius is the truth bringer or truth seeker. Libra is the judge, the balancer. So you've got the air, the words, and the action of the conscious mind coming from Libra that are all about that, finding that balance in life and the things we say, the things we do. Well, underneath, we've got this fiery energy, these ideas wanting to come to the surface. But Sagittarius brings with it truthfulness. It wants to bring this truth bubbling to the surface. And so that's where we're at. So if you look at what's going on to the world, that's kind of what's taking place. Truth is bubbling to the surface. Okay? If we move on to our moon phase, we see that we are making our way up now, 25%. Making our way towards that full moon. On the Mayan Oracle, we have the blue color, which is transformation. The overtone, which is the 5th tone, which is tone of radiance. The storm is the daily kin, and the guide for today is the hand. So today would be the blue overtone storm, guided by the hand. Phrase for today is I empower in order to catalyze. Commanding energy, I seal the matrix of self-generation with the overtone tone of radiance. I am guided by the power of accomplishment. And if we go down here, today is a galactic activation portal day because we are up 2 rows and over 2 columns. Okay, so that 2 spaces over, see it's in synchronicity. It's one of the bolded out letters or numbers here. So that's what that's all about. Alright, moving from there, space weather, solar wind is moved up quite a bit from yesterday. It's 561.5 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index, look at this, we're in the midst of a storm between 4 and 5. Big hole right here, a couple of them really up there. The wind's going to be heading this way, it says, around the 11th and 12th. We should be expecting it. M-class flare possibilities up to 10%. Geomagnetic storm activity we could see has gone up. 65% severe in the higher latitudes. 35% in the active in the low or mid latitudes. A little more update. This is Suspicious Observers Report for today.
Good morning, folks. Quick note here on the solar pole flip. You see where one pole seems to have flipped at the end of last year, and indeed both magnetics are on the opposite side of the baseline compared to last cycle. But that red curve might jump up again across the baseline, so we don't yet officially call these poles flipped. The flip is in progress. Folks, these are the first shots of next-level cosmic ray detector chamber experiments from Mr. Too Tough 2. Uranium in the chamber, protective magnetic fields against the cosmic rays, and a ton of other stuff coming in the next few weeks. Switching to ISON, where you'll get some brief shots here of Francis Walsh's latest pictures. When I talk about the experts in our online community, not NASA's or some government, those ones you should really be listening to instead of some YouTube fool claiming things a child knows isn't true. This would be one of them. Francis shows us technique and visuals of the cosmos we can't readily get ourselves. But most importantly, both he and Bruce Gary's latest, including his posting of Whitmer image, shows an intact comet nucleus to ISON. Not really any major fracturing, and the chances for the mid-January meteor shower to be dangerous are disappearing fast. Feel sad? Go outside now when it's dark and see the draconids finishing up. Look at the Philippines. We have another tropical storm heading in this direction from the east. At the same latitude in the North Indian Ocean, the Bay of Bengal near Sumatra is watching the back end of development heading for the Indian subcontinent. Tropical development in the Atlantic is worth keeping an eye on later this week as it treks west. Meanwhile, we have NARDA and a developer in the East Pacific. Most that pop off just off Mexico take this track, and somehow two of the computer models see the developed storm doing something completely different. And then there's the space weather. The return of flaring, 24 plus hours of eruptive behavior still ongoing, and the CME we've been expected smacked our magnetosphere yesterday, a day earlier than expected, and jacked the speed, density, and plasma temperature up significantly. We are geomagnetic storm conditions, likely go off and on throughout the day. Magnetic shield will be sore tomorrow after that one. Proton shock wiped the electron flux clean, but at least the high energy influx levels are stable. We had our sun-diving comet yesterday come in. Unfortunately, we don't yet have the pictures of disintegration, but we do know that a well-timed solar awakening is to be had in its wake. Yesterday we began showing this eruptive behavior, and folks, it hasn't stopped. As if all the flareless CMEs and filament eruptions weren't filling up nearby space with plasma, we also have a return of solar flaring from the incoming delta spot that we put on alert in last night's news. An M2 blast emanated from this large umbral group that we now have a terrific view of. Look at the umbras within that penumbra. Now, look at the magnetic mixing. There's no such thing as a double delta, but if there were, this fits the bit. Along with this group up here actually, got the magnetics it needs to be delta, just needs some more umbral power. And speaking of power, the coronal hole coming to be Earth-facing tonight is the most powerful on the Sun. This has been highly fluid, so of course it could change by the hour, but if it doesn't, the next quake uptick should be at hand after this little brief 36-hour lull. Like I said, this eruptive event is not over yet, especially on the southeastern limb incoming. Millions of miles of electromagnetic chain reaction destabilization of the solar surface, and the show is not over yet. Use the links. You're really all you need. Eyes open. No fear. It's 6:55 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
All right. There you have that. All right, moving right along. So, for today, I said I was going to play something by Jose Arguelles, and, well, that's what I'm going to do. Jose Arguelles. You hear information from Jose every day when I do the dream spell or the Mayan Oracle. It goes by different names. Basically, you have the Mayan calendar, and the Mayan calendar is comprised of a number of different calendars, one of which is the Tzolk'in, which is the 1320 grid. There's a couple other calendars that they use that are all tied in, and it makes up the whole Mayan calendar system. Well, Jose Arguelles took a look at this system, and he spent many years studying it, and he saw that there was something that was a discrepancy. And in seeing this discrepancy, he made the adjustments that he felt inspired to do, and the process of it, he came out with the dream spell, which is a correction, a course correction, so to speak, in what is happening. That's what the dream spell is. So you've got the Mayan calendar, which accentuates the Tzolk'in in its understanding amongst other things it's looking at. And then you have the dream spell calendar, which is the Mayan calendar course corrected, according to Jose Arguelles. So he also is the gentleman that was instrumental in harmonic convergence happening in 1987. Remember I told you that The whole concept was that Earth and us were moving together on this time ship in synchronicity. And then at a certain point, we started kind of going off on our own time, artificial time, and Earth is moving along in its path, time ship Earth. And at a certain point in time, 1987 is when Jose came to understand that we needed to get back on the ship because the ship's going this way and we're drifting off in space this way. And that's what harmonic convergence was about. It was about getting us to snap back from, going out here to snap back, so we're all in synchronicity together as we're going through the shift in time that we are going through right now. Okay, that's a little brief on Jose. This piece will really help you understand who he is. This is an early piece of his, and I think you'll enjoy this, help you understand who and what Jose is all about. Here we go.
Good afternoon, and I have to say it's been a very, very interesting and long journey. I would that it had been 7 weeks, but it's just been 7 days here, and my responsibility has been to communicate to you the at least the basic aspects and principles of the law of time, the comprehension that because we have been living in a distorted time frame, as it were, the 1260 artificial time frame, that we could not understand the true nature of time, that the true nature of time could only come through a series of revelations, because revelation is what breaks through the conditioned mindset. And so only by breaking through the conditioned mindset can we begin to have some understanding of what is meant by the law of time, that we're dealing with different orders of time, the cyclic order of time, the synchronic order of time, that time is the fourth dimension, that time is a form of information biology, that there are absolutely perfect harmonics of time by which the biology of the universe is regulated as a form of continuously recirculating information, and that through to understand all of this, that the revelations of the law of time have been all based on the restoration of the natural biological cosmic cycle, the bio-solar telepathic cycle of 28 days, 13 times a year, which is a reflection of the moon going around the earth 13 times as the earth orbits the sun once, and that this also is a cycle that we find in the rotation of the sun itself on its axis, that at a mean point just north and south of the equator it turns 28. It turns once every 28 days. That the mathematics of the law of time are not a decimal mathematics, but a vigesimal mathematics, that to properly understand the law of time and the true nature of time, we need to go to a mathematics that is not the same as the mathematics of space, that there is a mathematics of time, that as the fourth dimension, time is greater than and includes the third dimension, that time, the fourth dimension, informs the third dimension, that from the point of view of space, space is infinite and time is unlocatable. But from the point of view of time, space is an infinitely locatable point, which is your consciousness, that the evolution of time is the evolution of consciousness. The dynamics of the evolution of time are the evolution of consciousness, that consciousness is a property of stellar evolution, that consciousness is evolved by the star system, that the different planets of the star system hold the different harmonic resonant patterns of the particular star, and those harmonic patterns or waves are the functions or hold the different functions of consciousness, that these can be mapped out on a fourth dimensional interplanetary map, which is known as the telectronon, and that in the process or the course of the evolution of the star systems, that we also have a particular situation of why was it that here on this planet that we got separated from the natural timing frequency, that the rest of life in the universe is functioning on this natural timing frequency? Why did we get separated from it? And this brings in then the fact that we are dealing with the universal theology that has to do with the free will zone, the experiment in the free will zone, that the free will zone is defined as the Velatropa sector, that it's a zone 6,000 light years in circumference, that is defined by the pulsar called Vela, which is a remnant of a supernova, and that this pulsar defines the entire experimental zone, that our star, Kinechahau, is or V24, Velatropa 24, is at the very center of this experimental zone, and that the different errors and karmic residue of the experiments of free will that have occurred have been deposited at the very center of the Velatropa sector, and that in our planetary system that we have had this karmic residue and error, which was visited first on Maldek, the fifth planet, which is now the asteroid belt, which holds the sound of the mysterious lost chord Zymox, and that from Maldek the error was transmitted to Mars, where the civilization of Mars was blown out, and now the final place, the repository of that error, is here on Earth. And during the last 5,200 year cycle, that we've entered the intense zone of trial and testing, and that to understand all of this, where we are at this point in time, which is spoken about in the sacred texts and the prophecies of all peoples, that the revelation of the law of time has come to help us to understand our position in time and where we are according to the Mayan Great Cycle. We are now some less than 13 years from the ending of the Great Cycle on the winter solstice 2012, which incidentally at that point in time the Earth will be perfectly aligned with galactic center in the constellation Sagittarius. And so that is a perfect alignment of the Earth with the galactic center, and that's what else did we miss in our review? You got all that, right? Come on. It's just So to help us get through that, not only do we have the analysis of the problem, the analysis of how we got here, that this is the moment of the judgment day, but then we also have the instruments or the tools to help reharmonize and rearrange the synchronic order in a harmonic way, because during the 1260 deformation of time, that the genetic code and our perceptions became deformed to such a degree that we think peace is war and the universe is flat. But so we need to get out of that quagmire, and so the instruments and tools like the 260 postulates of the dynamics of time, the 20 tablets of the law of time, and the 7777 have been revealed and given us as the tools so that we actually can participate in what is usually referred to as the second creation. In the cosmology of this final dispensation, this revelation which confirms all previous revelation, and as we demonstrated this morning mathematically, that the law of time affirms the final criterion of the historical cycle, which is the Holy Quran, and the law of time is found in the Holy Quran, just as the 19 code of the Holy Quran is found to be the main mathematical constant in the Mayan Tzolk'in, so that we have complete affirmation of these points. In this cosmology, we speak of three types, which are all one type, okay, of emerging evolution. Because also we saw that at this point, which is referred to as the Judgment Day trial, that we are actually at the point of what is referred to as the biosphere-noosphere transition, the catharsis of the biosphere in a state of high biogeochemical heat and transduction, that the passage from the biosphere to the noosphere represents the creation of a telepathically unified field among the human species, which can only come about by the human species being restored into the correct timing frequency, the 1320 timing frequency. And when we are restored in the 1320 timing frequency, the universal telepathy then creates a sphere around the planet which encompasses the biosphere, which is referred to as the noosphere, the mental sphere around the planet, and that can only be a complete integrated mental sphere as a result of the universal telepathy that is restored by living in the 1320 frequency, and which again is based on the following and being a function of the 13 moon calendar. And this points to the preparation for the emergence into the next geological cycle of the Earth, which is the Psychozoic era, which occurs or will occur or is scheduled to occur in 2013, following the closeout of the Great Cycle at the end of 2012. And so to prepare for that, we are being evolved no longer at the material level, but at the mental and the spiritual level, so that we can fully participate in the fourth dimensional order of reality. All of life is one, everything is a unity. The awakening of the soul of the earth is the awakening of our own soul and unitary consciousness. When at the time of resurrection, there's only one soul that is resurrected. We're all made from one prototype atom Cadmon, and that prototype exists in all of us. There is no such thing as separation. That is a disease of the mind caused by the 1260 Satan trap of artificial time. So in preparation for all this, that we have the emergence of a new evolutionary type. Generically, the evolutionary type is referred to as the Earth Wizard. The Earth Wizard is the being that lives completely in harmony with the Earth, lives completely in the 1320 timing frequency, and has the capacity to practice the celestial harmonics that define the higher levels of the fourth dimensional order of mind as they are defined in the 260 postulates of the dynamics of time. Aren't you glad this is being recorded? It's good. Glad you're still there, laughing. See, you got to have a laugh every so often. Okay.
All right, that is Jose Arguelles. So that gives you a good understanding of who he is. Obviously, a lot of information, and all of that information is part of what this dream spell is about. So we're going to do some more explorations of the dream spell, of time, things of this nature in upcoming shows. But I just kind of wanted to refresh your memory of who he was and what he was about. The book, The Mayan Factor, is one of his first books that he wrote. If you really want to get an understanding about how the whole system works, because he really is very adept at understanding the Mayan calendar, and because basically the dream spell is the Mayan calendar with a few degree changes, but he's very well versed in it. It will help you to understand it in a very different way than some traditional lines of thought. It gets more into that spiritual aspect of things, and that's the important aspect. All right, UFO News is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Today, 6 stories. Story number 1. This was over San Antonio, Texas on the 6th. says, as I was skywatching facing east, noticed this glowing object trailing high in altitude. When zooming in an orb to be observed, it appears to be emitting some kind of glowing energy. It did not seem to reflect the sun's rays as it traveled overhead. As you can see in the video stills, this UFO orb was traveling at high altitude. Okay, there we go. Pretty good, pretty good. Very interesting indeed. So check out the link and see what you think. Here, actually, we'll actually see the video here before we jump away. See the object right there? Okay, let's move on to the next story. I'm going to go back up to our sun because we have more activity up there. Okay, here's some screenshots of what's up there in different places. Now let's jump down here. NASA has never given any explanation for these UFOs orbiting our sun, which first came to the world's attention from Russian scientists several years ago who declared that there are Earth-sized UFOs moving around our sun's corona at speeds that are impossible for such a size object, and flight patterns which suddenly have 90-degree right turns. That is no natural phenomenon. Okay. There we go. So, moving on from there. Here we have a UFO floating over Madison, Wisconsin. Right there's our object in question. Okay. And here we go. Okay, object in question just floating there, hanging there. Looks kind of jellyfish-ish. Doesn't have the long tentacles or stuff, but certainly in the translucent aspect. Alright. I'm going to move on to the next one here. We have over Niagara Falls, kind of a bright type light, not exactly the same, but brightness. Now, okay. Actually, we could see that there's part of something else going on here. Okay. So the light, and looks like some sort of ship around it, definitely. At an angle. Okay. Very cool. It's over Niagara Falls. Okay, now we're going to go over here to a diamond-shaped UFO filmed by TV reporter over Hong Kong. This was filmed by Wiz Zhangdong Yi, who was a former cable TV reporter for TVB in Hong Kong. The recording was made the evening of the 6th of October 2013 when the UFO was visible for approximately 20 minutes. It's a long time. It says, tonight I will bring a DV go out as I was thinking to be. Finally I saw the object in the same position again. Alright, so let me just kind of zoom in. It's a 2.5 minute video, but that's a pretty good looking one. We've certainly seen this type before. I recall that we've looked at these kind. Alright, and they said it just hung there for 20 minutes. Okay. So check out the link. Moving on here, and this is a UFO you've heard mentioned from time to time. It's called the Black Knight UFO. The story of the Black Knight UFO begins way back in 1899 with a signal which was picked up by Nikola Tesla coming from space. The signal was picked up again by various occasions in the 20s by radio enthusiasts, and there were many sightings by astronomers who watched and studied it. Made the newspaper in the 50s and the 60s. Pictures were taken in the 60s. In the 70s, the signal was decoded and a program of Epsilon Booty Star system. This is an amazing story. Okay, so if you go through here, let me see, I'm looking for some pictures of the Black Knight satellite. Basically, it's a satellite that's been seen going through floating through our skies in orbit for quite some period of time. And A lot of speculation about what it is, where it comes from. But it's out there. Okay. It is out there, and we down here on Earth don't know what it is, but I would have to guess those who fly up into space, they have a better idea of what it is. They just aren't saying. Alright, that's the UFO news for today. I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
Alright, I'm back. So, just one thought before we switch gears here. You know, with the suns, or the big objects by the suns, and some of them are Earth-size. Well, if we have an Earth-size object that is moving out there around the sun, sometimes they're close or whatever, and we're not feeling any sort of gravitational effect, or let me rephrase that, wouldn't we be feeling something? I mean, we're told when a body like Nibiru comes through, we'd feel something, or if a comet gets close, we'd feel something. So what about these spaceships? If there's a spaceship the size of the Earth out there, or multiple spaceships the size of the Earth, wouldn't we be feeling some sort of effect down here on Earth? And if we're not feeling some sort of effect from them, maybe we're not necessarily feeling an effect from the others in the way that is being described. Maybe there's something there that we still need to learn. Just a thought. Just a thought. That was it. All right, so here's some more of the nonsense going on out there you may not have heard about. This was Grand Canyon City's cites people for entering a closed park. Nearly 24 people have been issued citations for entering Grand Canyon National Park after a partial government shutdown forced its closure. Grand Canyon Chief Ranger Bill Wright says some people have been caught at the South Rim on trails, attempting rim-to-rim hikes or trying to sneak off through dirt roads. All of the citations will be handed out by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Wright says each of the 21 citations issued as of Monday has a mandatory order to appear in court. A state highway runs through the national park was closed after Grand Canyon officials found tourists removing barricades and overlooks along that road. Wright says enforcement will be patrolling the park around the clock. Most other park employees must have been furloughed. Oh no, must close the park, must close the park. You know, what's wrong with these people? They're absolutely nuts. They're nuts for putting these in place, and what's even crazier, or as crazy, is the fact that there are American citizens who are following these completely idiotic rules. Okay? That is the part that is just mind-boggling. That there's actually American citizens who probably made a very good point of telling someone not in their lifetime will there ever be a situation like Hitler. Probably the very same people are out there protecting the criminals. So we've got security and police in a position protecting the criminals, which only can lead the American people to the conclusion that if they're protecting the criminals, they must be with them. What are we to do? How are we to decide? So the fact of the matter is, if you're a police officer or if you're in security, as I've been saying for a long, long time, you're in a very precarious position. And you really need to give some thought about where you're going to stand. Because as you can see, what's happening around the country is that security and police are being put in positions having to decide whether they are going to support the criminals or whether they are going to support the people. And what we've seen so far are there are those who are willing to cross the line and arrest American citizens who are doing nothing wrong, also that they can support the criminals that are in office. Remember, during the Nuremberg trials, all of those accused from Nazi Germany, well, they were just doing their jobs. So how many out there are just doing your jobs at this point in time And how many more of you are going to be asked to go out and just do your job, but your job might entail arresting American citizens? Something to think about, because we're getting to that point, and it's kind of scary to see that there are police officers and security who are so willing to, so quickly willing to turn their back on the American people, just like that, just because Washington says something. You got to learn to think for yourselves out there, folks. Security, police, that's to you. So please, American people are kind of counting on you to do the right thing. We'll see what happens. Now, people are standing up. Here's a story. 15 Indiana school districts and Attorney General are suing to block Obamacare penalties. An aggressive challenge to President Barack Obama's health care law, 15 Indiana school districts, backed by the state's Attorney General, say they shouldn't have to pay expensive penalties if they fail to provide health benefits to employees who work a minimum of 30 hours a week. The state and school districts filed a lawsuit Tuesday in U.S. District Court in Indianapolis against the Internal Revenue Service and other federal agencies. They claim that the IRS overstepped its authority earlier this year when it set up financial penalties for employers in states such as Indiana that did not create their own health insurance exchanges. This is good. This is good. People are stepping up. Good stuff, stepping up against agencies that have been defrauding the American people, like the IRS. Sure, there are some things that might be needed where we have to pay taxes. The Constitution, the Declaration talks about such things, but the way that it's out of control, it's one big tax. And the way that they do it is completely unconstitutional. There's no law on the books anywhere saying you have to pay taxes. It's an entire scam system. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, because that is a very well-researched subject as well, and no law on the books. None. Nowhere. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So Obama's going to have a meeting. Says President Obama held an off-the-record meeting with 5 conservative journalists on Tuesday afternoon. Present at the meeting were Charles Krauthammer, the Washington Post columnist and Fox News contributor, Paul Gigot, the Wall Street Journal page editor, Robert Costa, the National Review's Washington's editor, syndicated columnist Kathleen Parker, and Washington Examiner's columnist Byron York, according to a source with knowledge of the meeting. Uh-oh. Wonder what went on. See, they're not talking kindly about Herr Dictator, and so he's got to have him in there. So we'll see now what some of these individuals will have to say, because some of them are kind of outspoken on Obama from time to time. So we'll see how they change the tune now that they went in and they met with Barry. All right, moving right along, we've had some polling that's going on, showing what's taking place here in America. This particular one comes from Newsmax, Independent American News. Here, the poll was, do you support the government shutdown? And a couple questions here. We have, yes, I support the government. Were congressional Republicans right to force a government shutdown in order to defund Obamacare? Yes, we have 80% have said yes versus no. We have 19%. So we have more people that support the shutdown rather than have that Obamacare. We go over here, we say, do you support a 1-year delay for the individual mandate? Yes. And then we have the biggest majority just says it should be repealed. And then who do you hold most responsible for the shutdown? 70% say Barack Obama. So these are polls that are being taken, to really find out what's going on. These are more independent polls than what you're hearing out there in the mainstream news if you're watching any of that kind of stuff. Sure, all polls can be skewed. That's just kind of the unfortunate nature of it. We hope for honesty, and we've learned for the most part how to operate on the honor system, but there are many of those who still find it necessary to cheat, and so for those we have to pay attention, right? Okay, this is Charlie McGrath. We're going to get his perspective on what's going on out there in the world today. You've heard Charlie before. He's always has a very strong perspective on the events of what's happening. He's really got his ear to the news, so to speak. So you also hear him on the Rents Radio Network, and here he is right here.
Hi, my name is Charlie McGrath. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com and a host on the Rinse Radio Network. Is the Department of Homeland Security preparing for the next Wall Street meltdown? Great question posed by Ellen Brown in her latest article. Let's take some information from this article and do a little analysis, seeing how the 2008 collapse happened and how the next collapse is going to happen. Look, in 2008, it wasn't your mom and pop regional bank that caused the crisis, the financial meltdown of 2008. It was these shadow banking institutions, these non-banking financial intermediaries that are not regulated at all. We call them now what? Hedge funds, money market funds, credit investment funds, ETF, private equity funds, security broker dealers, securitization and finance companies. These companies that have no regulation, they operate in their own world. They're the very powerful, the very wealthy, the very influential, especially in Washington, D.C. They haven't been reeled in since 2008. They're larger than they were in 2008. They're more powerful than they were in the last financial crisis. But we can be rest assured of what's not going to happen in the next financial crisis. You see, it was sold to the people of this country and the world that bailouts had to happen, because if they didn't happen, we would see pandemonium in the streets. A recent biography by Gordon Brown, former Prime Minister of England, showed just how worried he was if the banks shut down. People couldn't get their food, they couldn't get their fuel, they couldn't get their medicine. There would be literally anarchy in the streets. This troubled deeply the Prime Minister of England. But we know that never happened. We know the people of the world were scared into that happening, yet we spent trillions of dollars to rescue these institutions, namely the ones who were not regulated in the first place, who caused a problem, who were even larger than they were before. So what happens when the next crisis hits? And it could be very, very soon. President Obama laid it out when he signed Dodd-Frank. You know, we could have signed something simple like Glass-Steagall again, right? To separate bank holding companies and bank investment companies. We didn't do that. We created a piece of legislation that said there would be no more bailouts, but he didn't say there wouldn't be any more bail-ins. If you want to know where we're going, listen to the words of the president. We're never going to have another taxpayer-supported bailout. I beg to differ. The next bailout is going to come from the taxpayers. We're not going to call it that. We're going to call it a bail-in. All we have to do is look at the Financial Stability Board inside of Europe to see what they did and see the stage that has been set for the next round of collapse. You saw it inside of Cyprus. It isn't a bailout by the government anymore. It's a bail-in. The people who have their money in the banks are going to be the ones that lose. This is the process. This is the agenda going forward. Look, the Associated Press confirmed in February the Department of Homeland Security has an open purchase order for 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition. Armored vehicles have been seen flowing through the streets, drones flying through the air, the expansion of the security industrial complex. For what? For what? Somebody in government is afraid of what is coming. And you can't believe the lies of this administration of the past or the agenda that's been put forward to have us believe that this is all to protect us against terror. Somebody knows what's coming. Gordon Brown understood what could happen in a major financial shutdown. Is it all just coincidence that October 17th of this year, after 100 days of holding that credit limit within $25 million of the $17 billion or $1 trillion mark, we hit it on the 17th? Everybody and their brothers in front of the television telling us if we don't raise the debt ceiling, it's going to be Armageddon. Every politician, left, right, middle, is getting in front of that TV to tell you the same thing. Yet Bonner and Obama are locked in this battle, telling us either one of them are going to move. What a perfect opportunity to let the bankers' plan unfold. Is it coincidence that on that same day, the great shakeout earthquake drill is planned on the 17th of October, debt limit day? So is Quantum Dawn 2 cyber bank attack drill. Both of these are going to happen on October 17th, along with the debt ceiling being breached. Two things are on almost guaranteed course of action to happen. Bail-ins are coming. And let's understand what that means. In a nation where over 50% of the people draw some sort of check from government, in a nation that has seen the welfare rolls explode, seen the food stamp rolls explode, seen more and more people going on disability than ever before, seeing more and more people rack up $1 trillion in student loan debt because they can't find a decent job, seeing more and more people dependent on this government to hand out trinkets in order to make their life seem normal, and you take that all away, you tell them that the money you do have is now going to be used to rescue your bank, you got two things happening: bail-in and martial law. Stories are attached. That's all I got. Gabe Elton and Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have handed me in October 2013.
All right. There you go. That's Charlie McGrath's report for today. So, something to definitely consider and pay attention to. All right? Something's going on out there, and it's building up. And this coming weekend, it's going to be quite interesting because the truckers are gathering together. The vets are gathering together. It's a lot of people heading towards Washington, D.C. Right now, the truckers are probably on the road. For those who are wanting to be there by Friday, they need to be on the road at this point in time. So if you're out and about, you may see convoys of trucks. More than likely, this is, and as the organizer said, this is an event that's going to take place all throughout the country. It's not just going to happen there in D.C. So I'm going to look for information on that so tomorrow I can post anything about where some of the events might be in other states, so that you can go and you can participate. Because this is an opportunity for all Americans to step up. Even if you can't be in D.C., events right now and things are happening all around the country. You can see they're taking away rights everywhere. So Americans everywhere need to step up. All right? Now, one of the things that at the end of the shows that I've been working on and we work on with the meditations are the process of visualizing something better. To use our minds to create a better scenario than what we have. Because we're told that everything is energy, and we can use this energy to co-create our future. We co-create it because we, even though we are made up of this energy, we still are working with this energy because we are not it. The energy is the energy, and we are a product of that energy. So we work with that energy in a co-creative way in which we direct it how we want it to go, to the molds we want it to be in and so forth. But then we have to allow the energy to go and do its thing. Sometimes we try to rush too much, and we have to remember working with energy is just like a recipe. You got to send the energy out, and you got to give it time to process. And then once it processes, it becomes whatever it's going to be. So all of this is leading to this article here. And this is one of the things, like if, let's say, in a visualizing manner, we're starting to think of positive directions. This is a nice, interesting thing to consider here. Council of Elders to replace all governments. Imagine waking up and reading the headline or watching this on the nightly news. As a result of all governments being responsible for the pollution of our air, water, and food supplies, all governments will cease to exist and will be replaced by a council of elders who represent all of humanity and will only work in humanity's best interests. All ideas and decisions will be transparent within the council of elders, as each elder will be held accountable for making continuous improvements in the name of humanity's best interests. Daily and weekly progress reports will be available to you. There will no longer be any more 2 or 4 year term limits. Elections will be held every 6 months to either maintain the current council members or to oust those who are either not working in humanity's best interest or to not have any progress made during that time frame. Even though shadow governments and secret societies will try to maintain their dominance over humanity, their existence will fade away as all suppressed technologies are released, including free energy, cancer cures, and teleportation. Water purification technologies will be released, where anyone and everyone will have access to fresh, clean water, including technology that purifies salt water into drinking water. The genetic engineering of the air and food supply will no longer be in existence, and those who have been responsible for polluting our air, water, and food supplies will be held accountable for their actions, as well as all the crimes against humanity. These people will not be placed in prison, but they will be the ones who will help to build the world into a better place for all of us, including themselves. They will be on the assembly line for free energy devices, or working in the fields, planting or harvesting enough organic food to feed the world and help end starvation. They will be building eco-friendly homes for those who are homeless, or helping to purify our water systems. There's a bunch more to the article here. The video kind of goes along with it, talking about different solutions. But these are some of the ideas, some of the really cool ideas and things we could think about. Because imagine living in a world and our minds can create a lot. So just imagine if it's that easy, that all we have to do as a whole is we think about where we want to go as a whole, and once we get past that point where we have the, kind of the 100th monkey syndrome, you familiar with that? Sort of once you get that breaking point of the 100th monkey that joins in, suddenly consciousness spreads. So there was an island, and monkeys on the island were shown how to wash the potatoes in the river, and they started washing them in the river. And a couple monkeys did it, and once it got to the point where the 100th monkey was doing that, for some reason, across the way, monkeys on the other island started doing exactly the same thing. And there wasn't really an explanation other than consciousness had expanded so much in this one group of monkeys on this island that it actually grew and evolved and affected others. That's called the 100th monkey syndrome. So, maybe that's what it takes. And so that's why it's important that we wake each other up, because that next person that wakes up could be that person that puts us over the edge, so that we're all expanding in a much bigger way. Remember, we're all in this together. All right, this is a message for today. This comes to us from Hilaron.
October 6th to 13th, 2013. Beloved ones, the process of the re-evaluation of your lives and what is important for your greater health, well-being and happiness, and the letting go of all that does not serve you has been uppermost in your hearts. Some decisions are difficult to make, as it means a resetting and reformulating of your former priorities and goals. Asking yourselves some hard questions has been helping you to see with more clarity those areas and ways of being that hold you back from moving forward with enthusiasm and joy. Just remember that the bottom line in each choice that you make is, does this make you feel good about yourself? Does it bring more expansion and empowerment to you? Do you feel inspired and uplifted? And do you feel a greater sense of freedom when you contemplate the value of a relationship, goal or desire in your everyday life? As you continue to do this with everything that comes up for review, it lifts away all expectations you may have been carrying within yourself about whether you are doing the right thing, or are a part of a project that really does not resonate with your true being and your goal to continue to expand in all areas of your lives. You are finding that sometimes you have been carrying the expectations and energies of others within your being which have created unhappiness within you, and you are seeing that it is most important to be true to yourselves in every aspect of your lives. It is most important to give love to yourselves in these instances, to nurture and give yourselves the right to change your direction while honoring the other. In all things, the barometer is the love that you feel for yourself. We are now swiftly moving into a higher dimensional reality, and it requires the letting go of the constructs of the old system which kept you from being all that you can be. You are greater in your abilities to master life in a physical body than you give yourselves credit for. You have the same capacity for greatness as those around you who seem to have their lives all together as they confidently present their special gifts to the world. Each of you is unique and special, and you have the inherent right to follow the path to your own magnificence. Follow the direction your heart takes you in all that you do, and you will find yourselves following the beat of your higher self's direction and guidance in all that you do. The path before you is one that was chosen by you before you ever set foot upon this planet. All the challenges and lessons were chosen by you for the purpose of expanding your boundaries and for the honing of your abilities as a being of love who gains back their capacity to be that love in all situations that have come forth. All the tests and trials you have experienced have been given to you with this purpose only, to overcome the temptations of the human ego that were presented to you as you lived your life in your physical bodies, so that you remembered and freely chose to follow the higher path of an evolving soul. The school of life upon this planet is now ready to promote its members to a higher way of being and doing that follows more closely the path of the enlightened ones who have inspired humanity throughout the ages. You have gained more wisdom, knowledge and experience by having the courage to be a part of this evolutionary cycle than would otherwise have been possible, and these qualities of love that you hold, that you have polished to diamond brilliance, have brought you into a state of readiness to truly be the light of source within you, the light in the world. Your role now is to keep on keeping on, to spread the light and to spread the joy. Until next week. I am Hyla.
Alright, nice positive messages. And again, I like these messages because I think they're very positive. I don't hear anything telling me to give up my power to anybody, or to, jump on the first spaceship that comes down here. I'm not hearing any of that kind of stuff. I'm hearing a positive message, and that's the important part, okay? I know that channeling is something that a lot of people do. Okay, not everybody, but a lot of people channel. And there's energy and information all around us that we have the ability to channel. There's a misconception out there that people think that anytime channeling comes through, it's always from a demonic source. That's absolutely incorrect. Okay? There's many different voices out there. There's many different sources, because good people that we know and we know of pass from this life into the next existence, just like people that do bad things do. And so there are people and beings out there in the world, good and bad, that are out there. What our job is to learn who we're listening to. So it's not that channeling is a bad thing. It's not that everybody is hearing and being influenced by the wrong energies. It's just that not everybody's paying attention to who's talking to them. And that's the important part. So that the channeled messages and information that is coming through from a pure source, and not from somebody that's playing a game and trying to trick you. That's the important thing about it. Okay? So, angel message for today. You're a special child. Stay true and know that good things are coming your way. Alright, we like that. We like good things coming our way. It's very important. We keep hearing the promise of the good things, and, well, that's good for us, right? I like good things. You like good things. We all like good things. So let's do some meditation right now about some good things. So why don't you take a deep breath, close your eyes, exhale, take another deep breath, and exhale. I want you to think about all the good things that are in your life right now. No matter what's going on in your life, no matter where you are, there are good things. So I want you just to contemplate, what are the good things in your life right now? And as you think about this, you'll find 1, 2, 3, 4, and many, many more things in your life that are good. And the more that you contemplate the good things in your life, the more we keep finding. And the more we are aware of these good things, we see them multiplying. Because like attracts like. And because we're focused on the good, we're creating more good. And as good is being created, all this doubt and negativity and fear is being pushed away, because there's no longer any room for it, no longer any interest in it. So as we contemplate and we think and we remember and we acknowledge the good things in our life, we become aware that these good things come to us all from the great Creator, in one way or another, So we give thanks to the great Creator in whatever name we choose to use. God, Divine Providence, Great Spirit, Jesus. Whatever name you assign to that energy, the Force, give thanks, give appreciation, because in doing so, and as we give appreciation, we see energy and good things come back at us even more. And we begin to understand the great secret that the more we give, the more that we get. To the point that we can't give enough away because we get so much so quickly. And as we truly think about the things in our lives that are important, the good things in our life, we realize that none of them have anything to do with money. Money is just the bonus, along with any of the other material things. Just a few little bonuses to make things fun along the way. But the truly good things are beyond the physical. They are the friendships and the relationships, the conversations and the memories we share with family, with friends, with strangers. It's the humanity we experience in the world as we connect with each other. So let's just imagine going out into the world and thinking good thoughts and bringing good things into the world and extending this spirit of intention to others, that they be inspired. And just imagine everybody around the whole world creating good, and imagine all of the bad being pushed away. So let's just hold that thought in our mind's eye. Out with the bad, in with the good. Let the unconscious mind continue on that journey, finding all the good throughout the day, finding all the things that we are thankful and grateful for. And as it does that, let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. Alright, that's it. That is it for today, my friends. Thank you very much. Links available, firstcontactradio.com. Just keep thinking good stuff. I know that we're seeing a lot of challenges in the world, but challenges, when they're overcome, provide great opportunities and more strength. So let's know that these are challenges to overcome, and we can do it. It's a big point in our history. Big point for all of us. In the past, we might have come to this, and we didn't quite get there. Maybe our psyche is caught in that idea of destruction at the end, and that's why we're having all these dreams. But perhaps this time we make it. This time we get past the problems. And let's just do that by thinking of the good, bringing the good in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. I'm out of here.